What's going on, guys? What's going on? What's going on, guys? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, guys? What's going on, guys? I'm just getting heavy. What's going on? What's going on, guys? What's going on? What's going on, guys? God help me. Trent here, back with another story time, and this is gonna be a story time of how I got that little one. So without further ado, let's get into it. And if you guys don't mind, hit the subscribe button down below and the bell icon next to it so you can be notified of every new upload. Okay, so to give a little backstory, basically my whole life I've always loved animals. My family's always loved animals. We've always had pets, a pet dog. When I was a little kid I used to want to be a vet. Basically just always loved animals. So needless to say, when I became an adult, I wanted my own dog. Nothing against cat people or anything. Dogs are just what I grew up with. And I knew how to take care of them better. So it just made more sense to get a dog. Okay, so I had been doing a bunch of research on getting a dog. For a couple years actually. Going to pounds, looking online, talking to breeders. I knew for when I got a dog though I wanted it to either be from the pound or a rescue dog. And one day I was at work, and this is back when I worked at a restaurant. I worked there for a couple years, all my friends were there, it was open really late. It was actually a fun job. But okay, I'm getting sidetracked. One day at work, late one night, I was working in the kitchen. And one of the other employees had come up to me and said, "Hey, I just got this litter of puppies. I'm trying to get rid of these dogs. One dog in particular, if you want a deal." I was like, "Okay, I'll check it out." He was like, "Yeah, come check it out. I can give you the dog for like 100, 150, something like that." So he sent me a couple pictures of the dog on Facebook. And it was a cute dog. And I was planning to go see this dog. I'd just been really busy with work at the time. And maybe a week or so goes by. And he messages me again and says, "Hey, if you come get this dog, I'll give you it for like $50. And this is when the first red flag went up in my head. It's only been a couple days. Why are you trying to get rid of this dog so bad? But regardless, I brushed it off and said I would come check the dog out. And maybe a day or two after that, we were working together, and he had asked me for a ride home. So obviously, if one of my coworkers needs a ride home, I'm gonna give him a ride home. So I took him home, and when we got to his apartment, he says, "Hey, you should come in and check out this dog." And it had been a long night at work, and I was pretty tired. But regardless, I was already there, I might as well check out the dog. So I go with him to the door, and right when you walked in this place, you were nailed with this syrupy old urine smell. And when I looked down, there was feces all over the ground. And it looked like these dogs literally had never been let outside. So I go inside and we sit down and start talking about the dogs. He's like, "Yeah, we have this dog and this dog. But if you take this dog, I'll give you it for free." So I start playing with the dog, throwing a ball for it, biting my hand, just being a cute dog. And so far I was liking the dog. And apparently when he came home from work, it was time for them to eat. So he grabs a bag of food and pours it into maybe like a this by this Tupperware container. And when he sets the Tupperware container down, all the dogs run over and start eating all the food. And this one dog's just waiting behind them to eat, and eventually it just sits down behind them waiting to eat. And maybe a minute or two goes by, and these dogs ate all the food, and this dog didn't get a single morsel of food. So already I'm feeling pretty bad for this dog. It didn't really look like this dog was eating. And then this is what did it for me. They take this pitcher of water and pour it into another Tupperware container, and all the dogs run over there and start drinking all the water. And what does this dog do? It just waits behind them to drink. And that's when I was like, okay, no matter what, I am taking this dog with me. If the dog can't even get some water, obviously I need to take it out of that environment. And I guess this is what they call the runt of the litter. It's usually like the smaller dog, and it gets kind of bullied around by the other dogs. Like the opposite of the alpha. So I was like, okay, I don't care that I don't have a dog cage, I don't care that I have to work tomorrow, I'm taking this dog home with me. And he had already told me he'd give it to me for free. And like I said, it had been a long day at work, but I took the dog, put it in my car, and we left. And when I say this, I'm not kidding. This dog literally went to the bathroom on my car seat on the way home. I only lived like 3 minutes away from him. Just my luck. But regardless, I didn't yell at the dog or punish it or anything. It was apparent that this dog wasn't trained at all. So I wasn't gonna get mad at it for doing something it didn't even know was bad. So I take the dog, we get to my house, and I'm encountered with my first problem. Well, actually, my first problem was that I didn't stop to get food. But luckily, one of my roommates at the time had a dog, and he said I could use some of his food. But the second problem was, I didn't have a cage, and I had to work the next day. What was I gonna do? I was afraid if I left this dog out, it was gonna destroy everything and go to the bathroom all over it. I take a bunch of Instagram pictures with the dog, play with it all night. You know, this is my dog now, so I'm excited. And finally, it comes time to go to bed. So me and the dog snuggle up, and we go to bed. And I guess I just worked really hard that day, because I didn't hear any of this happen. But this dog had eaten an entire lamp. And when I say the light bulb and all, I mean literally with the light bulb. And this dog had chewed up an entire rug too. But the main thing I was worrying about is, did this dog swallow any of this light bulb or any of the metal or anything like that? And I was planning on taking the dog to the vet after work to see if it got a shot, to make sure it didn't have worms or anything. I'm freaking out at this point. So I call my work and they said, "Hey, it's fine, take the dog to the vet and then you can come to work." So I take the dog and I run to the vet, and finally we get in, and the vet said it doesn't seem like anything's wrong with the dog. Obviously monitor it for a little while, but it's not really showing symptoms of internal bleeding, anything like that. And we already needed to get the dog a checkup, so we were probably going to be there for an hour or so anyways. So if anything were to happen to the dog, the vet would be there to take care of it. And so my dog starts her checkup now, and I give the vet the bag of stool for them to look at. I guess that's how they look to see if the dog has worms. And the vet comes back and tells me she has 3 different kinds of worms. So now not only did this dog just eat a light bulb, but now this dog has worms I have to get rid of too. So they put the dog on some medication and they sent me on my merry way. After a couple hours had passed, we knew she hadn't eaten any of the light bulb. And I explained everything to my work and they said, you know what, just take the day off. Luckily I had a cool boss. So it comes time to go to sleep that night, and I still didn't have a cage or anything. I just spent all my money on the vet appointment. So we snuggle up and go to bed. And so while I'm sleeping, I felt a shift. Like as if my whole body shifted sideways. And when I say this, I'm not embellishing this at all. This dog had chewed up the box spring to a mattress. This dog had eaten half of a mattress. Doesn't this dog eat food? Or just expensive items? But regardless, it's not her fault, and she hasn't been trained yet. So I can't get mad at her. My main worry at the time is getting rid of her worms. And this goes on for probably 4 or 5 days until it's payday. And finally I can get her a cage so she'll stop chewing everything up. Every single night she was chewing up some different kind of cord, chewing the walls, chewing anything she could get her hands on. Well, paws on. Not important. Oh, and also during these nights, don't forget she was still going to the bathroom on the ground. So not only was it chewed up cords and chewed up anything, but she had been doing her business all over the ground. Oh, also, of the things that she ate a $100 bill at one point. But she was my dog, and I had only known her for a couple days, but I loved her. So fast forward maybe a month or so. I finally had her trained, she finally stopped chewing everything up, and we got rid of all 3 worms. That was such a relief. And speaking of worms, always get your dog heartworm medication. And after I finally got to a point where I could stop worrying about her health and everything, I came to the realization, this is my dog. I've been waiting 2 decades to get my own dog. And yeah, maybe it was one of the hardest months of my life, but I finally had my own dog. And then I realized I had done all the research. I had gone to the pounds, I had talked to rescue breeders, and I had done all this preparation only to have this dog thrown on my lap. Sometimes you can't really plan these things out, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. My parents have been telling me my whole life, don't get an animal if you're not ready to take care of it. And before you get an animal, be prepared. And it was then that I realized just how right they were. So basically the moral of the story is, know what you're getting into when you get an animal. It could be the most difficult, most stressful, most grueling process of your life, but I wouldn't have it any other way. So that's the story of how I got Savannah. Do you guys have any first pet stories? Or just pets at all? Or any story? I love hearing from you guys. Let me know in the comments below. If you guys haven't already, hit the like button and the red subscribe button, and your next 3 wishes will come true. I swear. But okay, that's gonna conclude this video. And like I said, my name's Trent, and stay tuned because I make new uploads every week. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Just do it. Alright, bye guys. We'll see you soon.